Okay, so we're on this sucker's route. I had like this ongoing joke, well, which isn't that funny, of him being a feeder. I think I basically dropped it, and I gave him like an annoying lisp too, but I think that like was starting to overstay its welcome, so I dropped that too. So yeah. He's our love interest. We're supposed to love him, I guess. But what happened last time? I think last time I don't know why I find this so amusing. But our girl, Soup, which is what we named our main character, learned her powers of the snow sacrament through prayer. Like she just like prays and woo, it happens. But and good for her, she's a queen. What else happened? Oh yeah, she is Kuga's servant for a cover, but now she's like, I think she's actually serving him, and now they both sleep at his place now. And she was like super flustered. She's like, oh no, I'm sleeping in the same room as Kuga, but it was fine. Of course he was a gentleman about it. Of course he is. And let me pull it up. Should have done this beforehand. And I feel it's fitting to play some Winter's Wish right now. Because I know some snow is coming. Where I'm at, we're probably just gonna get ice. But like, that's still a form of winter accumulation. It's cold. It's freaking cold, so it fits. And I have like this other visual novel that I played, and I actually really want to play that one. I don't think I could stream it, but I want to play more of it. I'm playing more, but I need to, because of my own schedule that I brought upon myself, I need to grind out more Winter's Wish. So that's what we're doing. A few days had already gone by since I had taken on the role of being Kuga's guard. Oh yeah, I also remember there's this guy who like was going to go kill him because he's like, you're this guy. And he's like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Which I think he's like, he's a vessel, so he had like a life before then, but like his heart was sealed away, if that makes sense. So he has like no memory of the life before. And if he does have memories of the life before, he'll basically be like eliminated because they're at risk of becoming a Blightfall. So I think that boy had a grudge against past Kuga. And Kuga's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Because he generally doesn't remember. And he can't remember, because if he does remember, that's bad. But he kind of has to remember, because how else is he gonna love us? How else is he gonna love Soup? Because Nami, nom nom nom. Nice. Because as a vessel, he literally cannot love. He would have to like get back his heart or something, like keep it for sealed away. Fucking Kingdom Hearts shit. I guess. A few days had already gone by since I had taken on the role of being Kuga's guard. It was a struggle at first since Kuga and I were constantly on the move, and I was keeping my eyes peeled for Hanzo, but I figured it out bit by bit. I'm used to living in his house now. Hopefully I can start working as his servant in earnest soon too. Hello! Thank you for the cheer. Oh, thank you. Also, love your name, Sacred Bonk Hammer. I don't know, I appreciate it. Thank you. That reminds me, Kuga. I'd like to... Hey. That reminds me, Kuga. I'd like to tidy up this room. Do you mind stepping out into the hallway for a moment? Into the hallway? Yep, I'll leave the sliding door open, so I'll be able to tell right away if anything happens to you. Because I am your guard, I gotta watch over you. I got a cushion so your backside won't get cold, and also made you a hot cup of tea. Here you go. Oh, really? Nice. Nice. Well, welcome to the B stream. I am playing Winter's Wish right now. Lee. You didn't have to do all that, but thank you. She wants to be your servant. She wants to do the best she can. Hey, that's all fair. Thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. Hope you have like a good whatever time it is. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Even got a compliment from Kuga. Things were off to a good start. Pete and my... Oh, so we're both... Yeah, we're both EST. So, nice. We're at the same time. Hope you have a good evening, then. I looked out into the hallway and saw Kuga at a writing desk. Writing desk guy moved out of the room, sipping his tea. It looked like he was writing something. Maybe an Oniwaban report, since he's always writing those. Okay then, time to clean as much as I can all at once while he's focused on that. Now then, it's pretty dusty in here since we hang out in this room all the time. I decided to knock all the dust on the beams and rafters into the ground with a duster, sweep it up with a broom, and then take a cloth and wipe everything clean. Once I worked out a plan, I began wiping down the room with a duster in my hand. Poof, poof, poof. Yeah, again, you're all good. I appreciate it. Girly, clean my house, man. I don't know why I'm so bad at cleaning, but I am. Blah. Wow, it's way dirtier in here than I thought. He did tell me that all he basically did here was sleep. So he probably ignored what he couldn't see. Out of mind, out of sight. I mean, out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. Don't worry about it. Out of sight, out of mind. In the short time that I'd known him, I've always thought of Kuga as a methodical person who can handle anything you threw his way. Living with him made me realize he could be pretty inattentive when it comes to day-to-day things. By which I mean, he barely paid any attention to them at all. He got a mission to do, and it's not cleaning. He really needed a woman's touch around here. I know what she means by that. I do. But he also needs a touch of a woman. Wouldn't it be nice if I figured out a way to make this place cozier so he can relax after a hard day's work? I could think of a few things you could probably do to help him relax, but I'm not gonna say those things. Oh, that was something a real servant would totally say. Bonk! Ah! Did I just hit Kuga with a broom? My skull is impenetrable. I can't say that word. Impenetrable. Bleh. Kuga, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Oh, I'm sorry for getting in your way. I ran out of ink. I'm bored. I am such a dummy. I'd ask him to sit in the hallway specifically so I wouldn't lose sight of him too. I was so focused on cleaning that I didn't even notice Kuga had entered the room. Man, I was hopeless. Nah, girl, you were just in the zone. I'm so sorry about earlier, Kuga. Leave dinner to me, though. I cooked all of my own meals before coming to Edo. Dang, you want to do a lot for him. Did you? Sorry to put you all through that trouble, but I greatly appreciate it. You got it. I already made rice, so I'm gonna go make some sides to eat while with it using this. Ooh, a grill? Are you gonna grill some mochi too? We're gonna have a big ass barbecue. Yeah, I'm gonna grill some burgers. No, dry fish. Nope. dried fish. I bought while we were out on patrol yesterday. Fat from fresh fish tends to fall into that grill and make a mess, but dried fish doesn't do that. Fat from fresh fish. Why is that hard? Fresh fish. We're going to grill some burgers and some hot dogs. Do you want barbecue or hash? That's how I ate the dried fish they handed out in the village. The flame is also pretty gentle, so there's almost 0 chance I'll burn it too. Also, interesting thing. Turns out, I didn't know this, but like hash, from what like I understand as hash, is just, it's not, like, it's kind of more of a local thing, I guess. Because to find what I was trying to look it up, and I kept on getting other things. Like, oh, it is like a slang for weed, or like something like that was all chopped up that didn't look anything like the hash I was used to. I had to type in Carolina hash for it to pop up what I know as hash. It's like, I had it all thrown out like, this is like so normal for me, but apparently it wasn't as common as I thought. I guess it was a Carolinian thing. I come up with a pretty good method, if I say so myself. Secretly elated, I laid the skewered fish on the grill. Girl is just eager to please. Okay, the fire's looking good. I'll just let it roast and it should be ready to eat soon. Go ahead and keep working, Kuga. Sorry to make you leave the room again. Out of this house. No worries. Besides, this isn't work. I'm writing my fan fiction. Huh? Weren't you writing a report? I finished that yesterday. I was writing in my diary. Dear Diary. Soup is pretty cool. She's been helping keeping my house clean. I guess that's why I kept getting colds, because that was a lot of dust. Also, I don't know. I was trying to make a joke, but my brain went blank. My brain went blank. Diary. To be perfectly honest, I wasn't expecting him to say that, so it caught me by surprise. You keep a diary, Kuga? Why would you? What do you mean, why? Like, apparently, yeah, journaling your thoughts and stuff is apparently good for you. I keep forgetting, though. I keep forgetting to do mine, though, and... because diaries are for writing down things that happen each day so you don't forget them, aren't they? Why would you need to do that when you don't forget anything? I see. Humans keep diaries to record things in. That's not what I do. I write down things that happen to me in my diary to help me analyze how to handle them. As a form of self-reflection, if you will. It did serve that purpose a long time ago. People were often repelled by me because I had a poor grasp of the tact required when dealing with those who have hearts. And I'm a heartless bitch. Really? But they all love you. They do now. I exist to protect the townsfolk, and they provide me with information, so I never intended to rub them the wrong way. Ah, so he's like, learning he's masking. But, by not saying anything when I should have, or by saying things when I should have stayed silent, I sometimes worsen arguments instead of ending them. Ain't that a mood? Huh. I can't imagine that at all. Oh, but you know, I guess he does sometimes stare at people and get a little bit too close. I guess he wasn't a feeder all along, he was just neurodivergent. Honestly, that makes me feel better about a lot of things. I'm sure those qualities were even more obvious when he first started out as a castle watchman, causing the people of Edo to misunderstand him. We love a neurodivergent king. I never would have expected that. So you started writing a diary to help fix this? That's what got me started. It helped almost immediately, in my opinion. Sorting out my thoughts by writing them down helps me clear my mind. I'm slowly learning how to behave in a way that others won't find odd. Kuga put a lot of effort into this. Having people trust him was crucial to his mission, so doing this probably seemed obvious to him. Someone who also spent a lot of time contemplating how to befriend normal people in the past, I empathize with him. I feel like a lot of people could relate to that. Come to think of it, it must not be easy for vessels to live like normal people. Have the other vessels, you know, like Yoichi, secretly been putting in this much effort too? I'm not sure since I never asked. But Yoichi always seemed to understand how to be tactful. He's very good at acting like a person. I don't know about Kinji and Kiroshiro since they were born before me, but Kunitaka and Hotaro has also been great with people from the very beginning. I must have been acoustic before I became a vessel. Tominari has also done a great job fitting in over Samurai Town from the looks of it. So it's just like my theory. With or without his heart sealed away, I think he'll be a little bit awkward. Maybe not understanding social cues. That is now my headcanon. He's an awkward being. I'm so sorry I said awkward being, I'm sorry. Does that mean Kuga's the only vessel who's not good with relationships? That didn't mean I respected Kuga any less. Actually, it was the exact opposite. Knowing he's been through that in the past made him even more amazing to me than before. That's really impressive. You worked so hard and now all the townspeople trust you. I've become a master at masking. It's nothing compliment worthy. There wouldn't have been any need to do that if I'd been good at it from the very beginning. People hard. I'm glad I kept a journal. Maybe it's because I don't have a heart of my own, but contemplating how people's minds and thought processes work is deeply fascinating. Wow, would you mind if I read a bit of your diary then? I'm curious how you view the townsfolk. That's not the only reason why. I'm also kind of curious about the way he writes about me. Kuga must have incredible observational skills if he managed to make himself act this human-like through daily logging and reflection. It was bound to be an excellent reading. Girl, that's my personal diary. No way. Kuga? He silently closed his open diary, tucked it under his arm, and turned his back and walked away. I want to ask you to read your diary. Kuga, where are you? To my room, to put my diary away from prying eyes. What? Does that mean he doesn't want me to read it? Oh, did you write something that might impact the mission? Some kind of secret that wouldn't be good for me to see? Or it's because it's someone's secret diary? Not saying, like, there might be stuff he's keeping from you, but, like, sometimes you need to have thoughts to yourself, I guess. No, nothing like that. It's just very personal. Yeah, like he said, it's personal. I mean, I think, like, a part, besides me not able to, like, I always forget. It's like I miss one day of writing stuff down, and then I miss the next day, and then the next day, and the next day. But like, I guess, like, another reason why I wasn't really able to keep up with a diary, or I had to be careful what I put in it, is because I've had, like, you know, my parents read my diary before, and I got, like, incredibly upset. What? Oh, my bad. Huh? Then are you writing bad things about me or something? What is this nonsense? I would never. Then why won't you let me work at it? It's personal! Why, indeed. Kuga didn't actually seem to know, but he crossed his arms and remained silent. A human or farm folk would just be plain embarrassed. I wonder if vessels ever feel that way too. By the way, Soup. Yes? Your fish are burning. Is everything okay? What? I thought you said, I am confident I'm not gonna burn the fish. Cause I got the flames real low. Look, Kuga, look at how much stuff I'm doing for you. Now look what you're doing! I turned around in a panic and saw that the dried fish on the grill had caught fire. Plumes of smoke were rising from them. Something smells like it's burning. Is there a fire somewhere? I see smoke coming from over there. Ah! I could feel my hair standing on end when I heard voices talking about it. Water, water, I have to put out the fire! Kuga, piss on it! Dash! Good thing there was a well in the garden. I'm sorry, I just didn't have any in the tank. If there was a small fire, people would find out Kuga lived in this manner. Mismanaging a fire was also a serious crime in Edo. We probably wouldn't actually be prosecuted for something this minor since we're both Oniwabon, but I would have been fired for this if I were a regular servant. Heck, they might have even handed me over to the magistrate's office. I probably should have told you sooner. That he... and he's just like looking this whole time. She's not like, no, she's like, can I see your diary? And she's like, fish burning, fish burning, fish burning. No, you can't. Oh, also your fish are burning. I probably should have told you sooner. Did you burn things this often back in your hometown? I'm so sorry. I completely forgot I was grilling them. How pathetic. I completely failed at both cooking and cleaning. I did all the chores when I lived on my own. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I botched them this bad. Did you mess up at cleaning? It made me embarrassed that I told him I wanted to be his servant once things were peaceful again. I'll clean it up right away so I can remake dinner. It's alright if we don't leave now. We won't have to. It's alright if we don't leave now. We won't have time to do our rounds. Go get ready too. Huh? But the floor's still wet. Kuga didn't seem terribly concerned about that sort of thing, however. He immediately headed back to the room. Since I couldn't leave him on his own, I followed him. A Ford folk named Hanzo. Never heard of him. He came here from Shinano recently, seeking revenge on someone called Gingo Monakahori. Have you heard anything about someone like that? Revenge, huh? Haven't heard a single thing about that, sorry. I see. Thank you for cooperating. Thanks for nothing, bitch. You need no help. I'm just saying thank you and parting ways with the woman we've been speaking to. Kuga asked me a question in a hushed voice. Huh. Was that umbrella vendor just now a human? She seemed to be, unless she was hiding her wooden tag. A lot of people who know about Hanzo seem to be form folk. Day after day, Kuga and I gathered bits of information at a time by asking around, all while keeping our eyes peeled for an ambush. From what we are told, Hanzo went around... oh my god, my chat's in the way. Explaining his story and asking if anyone knew his target. Oops. Oopsie. Da-na-na, da-na-na. Okay. However, no one named Gingomon Akahori lived in Edo. Miyagi had already confirmed this. Given everyone we asked responded with, I don't know, or there's no one here by that name, we heard he was feeling very frustrated by the ordeal. The wandering samurai out for revenge that Yoichi heard about must have been Hanzo. Strangely enough, Hanzo didn't speak to any humans. He apparently only talked to form folk. At first I thought it was just a coincidence. The further the scale tipped in that direction, however, the more I felt like he'd been choosing who to talk to. He's probably more comfortable talking to form folk. Maybe he found other form folk easier to talk to because he's a form folk himself? Perhaps. I'm sure there's a reason why, but it's hard to say what that might be at the moment. Even if someone did know who Hanzo was, the tricky thing is that not one single person seems to know where he is right now. For sure. Or I guess it's this, Go Gaemon or whatever his name is, Akahori dude. That is definitely not Genjuro before he became a vessel, was a form folk. We hadn't heard a single thing from Hanzo since we fought him a few days prior. Maybe he expected us to chase him down, or maybe he had no reason to be walking around now that he tracked down Kuga, his foe. What if he's keeping quiet right now to build up strength like Kuga mentioned? All the more reason we needed to strike before it was too late. With that thought in mind, we continued to patrol and question people. But that bastard said no shame. Just then, I caught a snippet of a conversation nearby. I looked in the direction of the voices I heard and saw two men leaning close to talk, looking at Kuga. No, they're not just looking at him. Glaring was a better way to put it. I couldn't hear exactly what they're saying, but what I did catch didn't sound very friendly. Curious, I looked up towards them. Their threads are yellow and red, meaning caution and anger? Oh, it's you two. If you don't mind, I like to ask... The man made a big show of spitting as he turned on his heel, ignoring Kuga's attempt to speak to him. How rude! Even though Kuga couldn't see the color of their threads, he also noticed something was wrong here. Save... Our first save file... Well, I know, we already saved... I mean, save file we needed to save because we're going to go back to this later. We're going to tell him. Kuga, the two men over there didn't have very good feelings about you. They seemed to be mad or wary of you, I'm not sure. Of me? I can't think of any reason they feel that way. That might have been true back when I just started working as a castle watchman. If they're still wary of me now, I'd be an absolute failure as an Oniwabon. Right, but that's why I also find it weird. Never met anyone who felt that way about you when we went on patrol together. Other than Hanzo. Is he spreading shit? Kuga raised his eyebrows slightly at what I said, but held his tongue. Understood. Let's go see his owner then. The shop should still be open at this owner. Why did I say owner again? I don't know what's on my mind. The shop should be still open at this hour. It'll be quicker than trying to chase the two of them through the streets. Sounds good. They were both form folk. I wonder which stores they belong to. You didn't notice? We drank with one of them at the izakaya the other day. We didn't meet the other form folk there, though. Oh, he must be from Toda's then. Maybe it was because he'd been drunk. Maybe it was because he'd been friendly to Kuga. But They came across so differently, it took me a while to realize who he was. I couldn't recognize... He didn't have a character portrait, man. If he's the same form folk I met that night, that makes his behavior just now even stranger. To Todas. To Todas. To Todas. Genjuro, and the young lady too. When we stopped by Todas, a familiar-looking man immediately ran up to us. Have you heard anything about my form folk? I sent people out looking for him because I can't leave the store, but I haven't heard a single thing.
Apologies, Toda, but I have no idea what happened. We saw him earlier and thought he was acting a bit odd, so we decided to pay you a visit.
So you found him? What do you mean he's acting oddly? He glared at Kuga before leaving with another form folk. When I briefly explained the situation, I watched the color completely drain out of Mr. Toda's already pale face. The threads around his neck were also colored with worry and sorrow. He acted like that towards Genjuro of all people? I'm not sure what got into him. He said stuff like, humans have ulterior motives, you can't trust them. So, yeah, what is going on? Hanzo? Someone is spreading some anti-human propaganda, I guess. Propaganda. Can't believe he said something like that to his own owner. When I talked to them at the izakaya, they had been so close, you never know they were a form folk and his owner. But I guess with like the whole owner and the form folk, I guess it is a weird relationship.
I think I have a grasp on the situation now. Toda, I'll find your form folk. Don't worry, I'll bring him back to you.
You will? I knew I could count on you, Genjuro. Thank you so much. Toda bowed so deeply to Kuga, he was almost kneeling on the ground. He's really appreciative.
Let's go, soup! Okay.
Da-na-na-na-na. I wonder what happened. Do you think it might have been something to do with the Hanzo case?
Not sure. Either way, something is definitely going on here.
We talked to the owner of the other form folk after leaving Toda's and found him in much the same situation. His form folk had been acting strangely for a few days, then suddenly vanished into thin air.
It's unclear what happened to these form folk, but if it's making them increasingly distrustful like humans, they're probably still producing negative emotions. They might give rise to a Blightfall or become one themselves. Either way, we need to find them as soon as possible. Yeah.
Unlike Hanzo, these two form folk were well known around the town. Multiple witnesses came forth when we asked around. We walked down an alley based on their testimony when... Yeah, it's seen, but... Kuga and I stopped in our tracks when we heard the sound of somebody speaking. After taking cover, we took a peek and saw the two form folk we'd been looking for. Fortunately for us, it looked like the alley ended there. Kuga shot me a look and I nodded. We gotta stop them if they try to run away.
You too. Are you the form folk from Toda's and the Yatsuhashi shop?
They looked up from their huddled conversation and stared at us with wide eyes.
Gosh darn it, Oliver.
But something was wrong. Instead of being a surprise too, the threads around their necks had a joyous orange shine. Kuga, wait! My shout came a little too late. Kuga, wait, but my shout came a little too late. Wee. Oh yeah, they were bait. They were bait.
Now, Hanzo! Aye, aye!
I forgot what voice I gave him. Silhouette jumped out and attacked Kuga from behind in a blink of an eye. I was white hot, if not dateable. I'm kidding. Kuga dodged the attack in the nick of time, then swiftly drew his long sword. Sheesh, you sure fleet-footed. That's Hanzo, right? That's what they called him, and it sounds like him.
but I froze my tracks in spite of myself. Hanzo had a massive amount of black threads coiled around his body, even more than when we first met. He looked more like a black shadow than a person while looking at him in a dim place like this. That alone is unsettling, but... No sooner did I hear a bunch of footsteps approaching than a crowd of townsfolk, who had nothing to do with this, stood in Kuga and me to protect Hanzo. There were 10, no over 20 of them. They all held short swords and jite weapons? What the... Are they being controlled? Kuga had come to the same conclusion I had. All the form folk gathered here to box us into this blind alley were the ones who said they knew of Hanzo when we had asked around earlier. Their lips were quirked into feeble smiles just like Hanzo, who had an eerie smile on his face. No, snap out of it, everybody! You must have a terrible reputation. You just sympathize with my cause. Great form folk minds think alike. That's why they all gathered here. When Hanzo readied his sword, the form folk swiftly cleared a path for him. They're all carrying weapons, however, and all of them were pointed at Kuga. I can't tell when they're all in. I can't tell when they're all close in on Kuga. With only me for backup, we're sorely outnumbered. I considered leaving so I could call for help, but the one path leading to the main street was blocked by the oddly behaving form folk. Yeah, she was like his guard in quotes, like she would run away, let people know that, let the only weapon know that he was in a fight with Hans? I don't remember. You got me earlier, but you won't beat me so easily this time. Fight me, Farron! Ah! You said Farron, you didn't even finish your words! That is not very fair and square of you, my boy. Kuga and Hanzo collided head on. Couldn't wait to kill each other until after I said square. Oh, I thought he leapt before he said. It's like Farron. It was like, oh, me, whatever. Although most of Hanzo's attacks had been ambushes, he showed no signs of shying away. As I feared, Hanzo didn't intend on playing by the rules of revenge matches or the samurai code. Although I knew that from the moment he called in a ton of people as backup. Guess I'll have to join the fight. Go, Soup. Then the battle began. It seemed Hanzo had gotten stronger since we last seen him. His swordsmanship hasn't changed much, but he kept us in check with a skillful use of his whirlwind attack. That made him an equal match for Kuga. The townsfolk were also attacking us from every direction. Stop it! You got the wrong man! Kuga would never do anything that warranted revenge. They ignored my plea and continued swinging their weapons at us. It's no use, they're not listening to me. While we somehow managed to keep them at bay, Kuga spoke to Hanzo. What did you do to the form folk? Is misleading people one of your blindfold powers? Huh? What are you talking about? Don't play stupid. There's no way you amassed as many people with pity alone. They're clearly all acting strangely. Hanzo swung his sword with all of his might like he was trying to swipe Kuga's question away. Shut up! Kuga jumped out of the way, dodging his powerful attack. Thanks to this, he managed to pull some distance between himself and Hanzo for the time being. Looks like you don't plan to tell us how you did it. Fine, I'll defeat you and turn you back into... Defeat me? You're still going on about that? You think I'd let you leave alive? I'll do anything to keep that from happening. Even more black thread spewed from Hanzo. I'll take you down with my next attack! Yippee! Kuga ran towards him at the exact same moment, closing the gap between them. His sharp sword closed in on Hanzo once more. Ah! Oh no. He left her. No, oh no. We got a bystander. Oops. I'm eating an Oreo real quick. Ha. What I heard wasn't the sound of Kuga's sword parrying Hanzo's attack. One of the form folk had suddenly jumped between them. He had taken the brunt of Kuga's attack and was now writhing on the ground in pain. to use them as shields?
Yeah, exactly. However, I should have known you wouldn't show a single shred of remorse about killing a form folk. Gingo Monakahori.
Who the fuck is that?
Must be a cinch for a murderer like you.
I'm not a murderer. You seek revenge against Gingoma and Akahori, not me. How many times do I have to tell you this?
How many times do I need to tell you? I would never mix you up with somebody else. Not when I'm avenging my family. Besides, that would be a real waste when I have so many buddies who wouldn't mind being collateral if it means I can obtain my goals. If anything, you should slaughter more of them, Gingo Monakahori. I'm sick and tired of your goody two-shoes act. Hanzo was getting more and more worked up, causing black threads to surge from him. Uh-oh, this is what happened when... Right as that thought occurred to me, I looked around and saw exactly what I feared. More form folk were throwing themselves at Kuga. At this rate, we'll never win this fight.
Ha!
I leapt in front of the form folk charging at Kuga, then unleashed a roundhouse kick at their feet. Yay! Go, Soup! She did a thing!
I did it!
Yes, you did, Soup. My kick wasn't very powerful, but had an immediate effect on the tangled group of form folk stumbling towards us. The form folk who fell in the very front tripped the ones behind them, causing whoever was behind them to trip and fall too. They toppled over in huge numbers. Like dominoes! When Kuga saw this, he immediately turned around and looked at me.
Let's get out of here, Soup! What tweet? I don't want to kill any innocent townsfolk. Cover me.
Will do. Alright, now that that's settled. After scattering the form folk who had us all surrounded in no time flat, we left the alley as fast as we could. Did we make it out? I looked back at the alley where we were standing a moment ago. Saw no signs of anyone following us.
Soup, what about Hanzo?
I think we're fine. I don't see a trail of black threads.
You don't? Let's head back to base then. When you report this to Lord Miyagi.
Okay. So, Hanzo was controlling other form folk. Back at the base, we reported what happened. Miyagi crossed his arms and fell silent. He got that much stronger while laying low? The form folk turned Blightfall we call the Kamikiri probably had strange powers we couldn't see in normal Blightfall. It was an ordeal.
Right. Therefore, I determined it was in my best interest to not continue the fight. Although losing track of Hanzo is quite the blow, and so is not being able to save the form folk he turned into puppets.
After withdrawing from battle, we walked around asking our Oniwaban colleagues if the form folk had been released and had gone back home. The form folk who had been in the alley were all missing. Hanzo must have been still forcing them to help him. There wasn't much else he could have done. It would have been difficult to continue fighting while not trying to strike the form folk's original objects, even for you. Hanzo might be more than we can handle now that he's a Blightfall. Still, we can't allow ourselves to kill form folk who are just being misled by him. Hey, Mitsuhige. Mitsuhige. You have no clue what Kawamura and the rest would say about this, do you? What do you mean? I'm saying they'll probably tell you there's bound to be more victims if Hanzo gets any more powerful. It's all form folk being manipulated and not humans, right? Just our luck, they won't die even if we cut them with our swords. Yeah, he's right. If we prioritize taking Hanzo, the Blightfall down, when Yoichi's idea made sense, they were both equally right. To be perfectly honest, that's why I'd been relieved when Kuga chose to withdraw. I get it, Yoichi. You're trying to say if we set ourselves up for larger losses later because we fear smaller ones, we got our priorities backwards. But the thing is, most formfolk are somebody's close companion. A considerable number of formfolk have fallen victims to this. Worst case scenario, their owners will experience negative emotions, birthing brand new Blatfall, and that would kinda suck ass, not gonna lie.
I agree. I have the same concerns.
Kuga had been listening to the conversation in silence up until this point, but chimed in to follow what Miyagi said.
Part of it might have been because we fought at night when Hanzo's powers grow, but he was definitely stronger. His control of formfolk also made it tricky. But when we took on all of them at once, the formfolk kept us from being able to do anything. Soup actually managed to draw some of them in. She was actually kind of badass. I was kind of surprised.
I did. I wouldn't have been able to handle all of them, though.
Between using the formfolk as obstacles and rendering our defenses ineffective, I don't think we'd be able to defeat Hanzo as he is now. In which case, it makes sense to choose the method that doesn't result in harming any formfolk. It's our responsibility to slay Blightfall, but we only do it in order to protect the people of Edo.
Kuga. I didn't see a single trace of regret about the choice Kuga made in his eyes as he clearly stated this. Got it. I understand why you ran away, Genjuro. Yoichi had some reservations over how we were treated from battle, but reconsidered after hearing Kuga's response. Yoichi wasn't the only one. Now I understood the mental calculations Kuga had been performing when he decided to stop the fight. True, if the only one gave up slaying Blightfall because they felt bad for formfolk, Edo would be in a world of trouble. I'm sure that's he. Oh lordy. I mean, maybe? I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure that was another reason why humans weren't suited for it, besides the fact that our hearts put us at risk of being affected by Blightfall. Sometimes you had to harden your heart. In fact, from their point of view, they had to abandon their hearts lest they ruin everything. It might have been fine this time, but I need to be on the ball too. Well then, sounds like you'll need more than just Soup to guard you, Genjuro. Why don't we have Yoichi take a break from his public job to join you? Hanzo's more likely to attack while Genjuro is patrolling. Maybe we can ask the others too. So, about that, probably best if Genjuro doesn't go outside for a while.
Why's that?
Really bad rumors about you are going around. People will probably chuck rocks at you if you go out on patrol.
What?
Yoichi was just as nonchalant as ever when informing us of this. There was no way we let that slide without comment. Really bad rumors? About Genjuro? That he's a brute, evil personified. Apparently word's getting around about his feud with Hanzo, especially amongst formfolk. You don't think this is Hanzo's doing, do you? Probably. They're saying Genjuro Kuga's real identity is Gengo Manakahori, which he's hiding to avoid Hanzo's vengeance. Bro just doesn't remember, man. Anyone who believes the rumors think Genjuro killed Hanzo's father, and that he's absolute scum who killed the other brothers who tried to avenge him.
But those rumors are completely baseless.
Oh, is Hanzo using his powers to convince everybody of this? There'll be a bit of a silver lining in all this. Once Hanzo was no longer controlling them, the misunderstandings would clear up on their own. I asked Yoichi for his opinion, sincerely hoping this might be the case, but his answer was less than satisfactory. Who can say? Personally, I think he used this story to control the formfolk's hearts. They must have agreed to help Hanzo get revenge because they felt bad for him. Ah, Yoichi's judgment has some merit. It's not a black fall of power, but some Hollywood Bond have the ability to coerce people into acting how they want them to, using their understanding of people's hearts.
Controlling their hearts. There are people who can do that?
Yes, that said, it will be rather difficult to get to the point where you can turn people to puppets like what Hanzo is doing.
In the last case, our last route, Kunitaka Tojo's route, when
Blightfall was using children as puppets. Still, it's entirely possible to make people stop lying or to get them to divulge information they're hiding from you. To do that, you need to make that other person open their heart to you. I learned the most effective method is sympathizing with them.
Sympathizing.
Bad guys are a totally different story. Hanzo wants to utilize completely normal townspeople, people, yeah. He seems fully convinced that Genjuro is the person he's seeking revenge on, so sounds about right to me. A few suckers probably fell for it and are pissed off at Genjuro, especially because they had a good impression of him up until this point. I can't believe this. They had a good impression of him so far. If they knew Kuga on a personal level, then I wish they'd believe he was innocent instead of falling for rumors. But that's out of the question at this point. They don't know the truth like I do.
Great. I never thought this would happen.
The rumors will probably spread even more tomorrow. Genjuro's famous over in Castletown. What if we went around telling people Kuga's not Gengo Monakahori? That they got the wrong guy? I can't believe people are treating Kuga like a bad guy when he hasn't even done anything. Don't. People know we're close friends of his. If they think we're covering for him, we won't be able to walk around town either. I knew Yoichi didn't mean any ill will by this, but I feel a little frustrated at how indifferent his reaction was. Kuga himself seemed perplexed about not being able to walk around town anymore, but he didn't really seem to mind being misunderstood.
I suppose I'll leave my rounds up to you and Soup then.
Sounds good. So far, Hanzo only seems to strike in town. Besides, a method that lures Hanzo out of hiding will keep him from figuring out where Genjuro lives. Yay. Kuga was silent. Perhaps because he didn't think he needed to say anything, as he waited for Miyagi to draw his conclusion. After a short silence. Sorry, Genjuro. Don't leave your house until the rumors have quieted down. Soup, Yoichi, we'll be tracking down the missing form folk.
It's not safe to leave this house.
Several days had gone by since Kuga had ordered to stand by at home. An indescribably awkward mood had hung over the house since then. I'm probably the only one who can sense it, but...
Kuga, I'll be leaving the house soon. You can leave your bowl there.
Once I finished getting ready to go out, I said goodbye to Kuga, who was eating. He held his chopsticks still as he glanced in my direction and quietly nodded.
Very well.
He says that, but always cleans his dishes anyway. Maybe he's just being nice? Or maybe because he's just bored out of his mind because he's staying in his house and literally can do nothing else. Maybe he was simply distracted and wasn't really listening. It is in the past, so he doesn't have like a 3DS or anything.
Damn, I wish I had a 3DS. I've been playing that shit all day. Mario Kart? Fucking... Kingdom Hearts Stranger Distance? 3DS? Yeah. Tomodachi life? I'll make you soup.
I hope he's okay. Kuga had been acting a little strange ever since he started staying indoors. Or at least I thought he was. I couldn't confidently say he was acting depressed or grumpy like a human or farm folk, but something about him seemed different from before. Da na 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 na. He hasn't said much. He's been spacing out a lot. Hold on. He's never been talkative, and he's spaced out a surprising amount before, too. Maybe he's spacing out because he's thinking about a bunch of stuff, like the townspeople, or me.
What's wrong?
Huh? Nothing, really. That was all he said before silently sipping his miso soup again. I actually had miso today, because I had like this little box that comes with like treats. And one of the things that came in it was like instant miso soup. So I tried that. It was okay. It was alright. I don't think I'm a fan of tofu. It's just texture is weird to me. I knew it. He's definitely acting a little weird. I could ask him directly, but I knew he wouldn't answer in a way that would help me pinpoint the reason why. Been so busy with my Oniwaban work filling in for Kuga that I never had the time to talk to him about it. Time got away from me while I was thinking. I gotta hurry. Alright then, I'm heading out.
Okay.
Even after I stood up, Kuga continued staring blankly at his bowl.
Damn. 3DS.
I wasn't sure what was going through his mind at the moment, but seeing him like that made my heart ache. Or his brain could just be empty. Head empty. Basically, what do you think, Yoichi? About what? About... Huh? I'm talking about Kuga! Don't tell me you didn't hear anything I just said! There's a chance he didn't even hear my response just now, let alone me asking him for advice. With Kuga unable to leave his house at the moment, I was paired up with Yoichi. I had no idea when Hanzo and the form folk he controlled might appear. Being alone was dangerous, so Yoichi was with me, having taken time off from the Yanagi brewery. Kuga was still Hanzo's only target, however. Ever since Kuga was ordered to stay home, we seen hide nor hair of Hanzo. That, or maybe he was developing brand new powers so he could take Kuga down next time. Yay! Can you follow his tracks instead of running your mouth? You're the only one who can find us leads on Hanzo right now, so shut up. You're a woman. You'll be seen, not heard. Okay. I am. I'm still searching right now, so I thought I could at least chat a bit while looking for tracks. God, this is such a huge pain in the ass. I don't mind helping you track down Hanzo, but listening to you talk about Genjuro. Doesn't matter what you tell me, I have no idea. All I can do at the moment is stay on standby. Genjuro knows that. There's no reason for him to be acting as strangely as you say he is. That may be, but still, he really doesn't seem like himself. Maybe he's not actually happy with being told to stay home, or his feelings are hurt that the townspeople don't trust him, or... Nope. Yeah. So whatever came to mind, as I didn't know either. Also didn't get the sense Kuga was dissatisfied with his orders or that he was disappointed in the townsfolk. He's a vessel, so he doesn't even experience emotions like disappointment or hurt feelings in the first place. That's exactly what made me worried something has gone on with him, though. Yoichi doesn't believe me, but something's definitely not quite right with Kuga. Maybe he'd change his mind if he saw it for himself instead of just hearing me talk about it. Why don't you come spend the night at Kuga's house too, Yoichi? We need a third. Huh? You've been going back to the base instead of Yanagi's, right? Come to Kuga's house then. That way you'll be around to guard him in case of emergency too. Besides, I heard you used to live with Kuga before. It would be just like old... Nope. Why not? Sounds annoying. Like, Really annoying. I'd much rather listen to you babble.
He hates the idea that much. Living with Kuga never felt like a burden to me, so I was surprised by Yoichi's reaction. Oh well, I shouldn't force it. I'll back off for now and just give it another shot the next chance I get. Oh, Yoichi, apparently Hanzo went to the magistrate's office next. The tracks go that way.
Huh? You actually are following them.
Man, Yoichi's relentless. Maybe it just feels that way because I was with Genjuro before. As it so happened, we were tracking the trail of black threads I believe Hanzo was leaving behind. He suddenly stopped for some reason earlier, but this time he left tracks for a fairly long stretch. This made following them a lot of work. I followed them seemingly aimless footsteps here and there when...
Please, could you give this to the magistrate a little earlier?
Heard an urgent voice just then, causing me to stop in my tracks. No, me first! Mine hasn't been home for 3 days! Then I should be first. Mine's been gone for 5 days. I haven't been able to sleep at night just thinking about what she might be going through.
Oh, they're talking about their form folk. I get it. I'll take down all your missing persons reports, so please get in line. Looks like more form folk had gone missing.
Yep. Ever since Hanzo started laying low, form folk had been disappearing from the city of Edo one after another. Since form folk hadn't gone missing until then, we were positive Hanzo was kidnapping them, just like the form folk who attacked me and Kuga. Hanzo seemed to be winning over passing form folk because he was leaving footprints near where they were last seen. No one else had seen anything conclusive, however. Their family members had all vanished into thin air just out of view.
For crying out loud. At this rate, he'll turn form folk all over Edo into his cronies.
Huh? Don't say that or it might actually happen. You need to knock on wood when you say these things.
It's the truth. Hope the footprints actually lead us to something. Might be a trap, though. Although a trap might actually be better. It would suck if we came up empty-handed.
True. Like Yoichi said, we'd still be grateful to find Hanzo waiting to ambush us wherever the tracks led. If he showed himself, if Hanzo attacked us, we could fight him. Which of course has its risks, but it could also let us flip the situation on its head before it slowly but surely got any worse. Townsfolk seem anxious. Emotional imprints are on the rise. Fortunately, or rather, oddly enough, there hadn't been an increase in Blightfall aside from Hanzo himself. The atmosphere definitely wasn't great, though. We gotta find some leads on Hanzo quickly and solve this case. Right as I was getting myself fired back up.
Oh, would you look who it is? The person who spoke was the tempura lady who always doted on Yoichi.
Hello? Is the shop closed today?
Never mind that. I heard all about Kuga. Isn't it just awful? I almost didn't believe it when I first heard about it. Guess you can't judge a book by its cover. He didn't treat you horrifically too, did he?
Ogi, Terumi. No, not at all.
I'm relieved to hear that. You don't still work for him, do you? Did you find someplace else to work? The threads around her neck were a complex mix of colors representing sorrow, anger, and concern for me as she talked about Kuga. Of the people who talked to me like this, almost some seemed entertained by the horrible rumors being spread about Kuga. Most were angry at him out of genuine sympathy for Hanzo or worried about me. I knew a majority of them didn't mean anything bad by it, which just made me even more sad and miserable. We still hadn't decided to take her in over where I work, so she's helping me right now. Yoichi could probably tell that I wasn't sure how to respond based on how he followed up for me. Really now? That's great. You'll be in good hands at Yanagi Brewery, especially if you'll be there with Yoichi. Well, I'll be working her hard. I got a whip and everything. Oh, Yoichi, quit with that sharp tongue and be honest for once. Perfect timing. I was hanging on to this for my son, but here, you have it. I love you more than him anyway. With that, she pulled out some tempura wrapped in paper from a Furatsky cloth. Huh? But what about your son's share? It's fine. He eats this all the time, so he wouldn't appreciate it one bit. He's already eating. Check it out, I'm already eating. Gosh, I love watching you eat. Stop by my place again so I can fry you up something fresh next time. See you. So she was the true feeder all along. Okay. Thank you so much. Panicked, I thanked her as she walked away. When I did, she smiled and waved at me. I should have thanked her for being worried about me, not just for the tempura. It was the right thing to do since I was in no position to tell people Kuga was innocent. That, and I knew that was how the townspeople expected me to react. Still, I couldn't shake the childish thought that if I joined in on the gossip, people might actually think Kuga was a bad guy. Every time the topic of discussion turned to Kuga, I said nothing and took a very vague stance on the matter. Right. Need to apologize to Yoichi too. He did his best to cover for me. Sorry about earlier, Yoichi. Here's your tempura. Oh, thanks. So, about Genjuro. I don't mind that you're worried about him. Huh? In fact, I'm glad you are. You've been keeping an eye on him for us. I mean, I'm honestly not sure what to tell you about him acting all weird. Doesn't mean I don't care what happens to him, though. We are friends, after all. I can't believe he just admitted that. Yay. So does that mean you're worried about Kuga too, Yoichi? Worried? Think whatever you want. Something like that, I suppose. Honestly, I think Genjuro's too much of a busybody. He's a real pain to be around. But I knew he did it for my sake. When all is said and done, I trusted him. He's also surprisingly funny. If you keep an eye on him, he's contradictory. Thank you, Nova, for the hydrate. Contradictory? Not quite the way I expected someone to describe Kuga. From my point of view, Kuga had always seemed like a very direct, single-minded person. Yeah, he's very much a vessel. But even when he's duty-bound, he also does things like put the townsfolk first or let Hanzo go free. I probably would have killed him. I mean, I would have tried not to, but not sure I would have had any other choice. What? But if you had... Then what? One or two unlucky formfolk would have gone missing is all. It would have been much more peaceful than what's happening in Edo now, where formfolk are going missing left and right. Yuichi wasn't wrong there. I wanted to say something back, but the only counter-argument I could think of was an emotional one that was far too naive for someone in the Oniwaban. I was so embarrassed by this, I couldn't think of anything to say. I was relieved we avoided fighting them at the time because I knew people would be sad if anything happened to their farm folk. Considering the chaos in Edo now, I wasn't so sure that I didn't regret not stopping him then and there. Hold on, stop looking at me like that. I'm not complaining about you and Genjuro. Huh? I brought it up because I thought it was interesting. The townspeople must be that important to him. He's a vessel, after all, so he only does what he needs to see his mission through. We each prioritize different things. We might work to accomplish the same results, but we go about it in slightly different ways. Genjuro might seem like the most vessel-like of us all, but sometimes he doesn't act that way, which I find interesting. He's maybe. I had no idea Yoichi felt that way. Listening to Yoichi allowed me to see Kuga in a brand new light too. A person who both was and wasn't vessel-like. Before this, I had no idea what to make of Kuga, thinking about the townspeople or myself so often, but he's so gentle and kind and warm-hearted. I'd felt this way about him countless times before, but never said it out loud as it didn't seem appropriate for a vessel like Kuga. I just kept it to myself. And maybe a bit neurodivergent, but he's cool. Maybe I was overthinking it. Kuga was a vessel, and his heart and emotions had been sealed away for the sake of his duties, and yet the townspeople mean a lot to him. I can see it in everything he does. And also in the way he worries about Yoichi and I. Why couldn't I think of him as the gentle, kind, warm-hearted vessel he is? I was hesitant to say this to Kuga's face because he'd probably find it very strange, but I'm kind of shocked. You're really fond of him, aren't you, Yoichi? Huh? No? Then he means a lot to you? He's important to you? Shut up, you're pushing it. What is this? I was getting a think what you want vibes from you just now. Humans are always so touchy-feely about stuff. It's such a hassle. Scratch that. It's plain annoying. That bad? I probably would feel that way to a vessel, though. I probably shouldn't tell Kuga he's nice then. And personally, I think it was pretty nice of Yoichi to tell me this. However, Kango bearers and heave! And heave! Hey, miss, sorry to be a bother, but could you move out of the way for a sec? Oh. I turned around and saw a Kango bearer making his way through the crowd. Sorry, go ahead. Thanks a million. Hurley moved off to the side of the road, and the Kango bearer left with a pleasant smile on his face. Yeah, what is that? Someone who made a living carting people around in hand-carry transports called litters. Huh. So he's like, just carting people. He's like, new. That's fun. But why didn't mention him? Wow, it has walls and a roof, almost like a tiny house. Is that as far as foreign folk being kept in there? It's more a palanquin than a litter. Probably has samurai or a noble family inside. Or people being kidnapped! Oh, right. Congo are built a bit more simply than that. Never seen one that ornate before. Just when I thought you were finally used to living in Edo, here you are outing yourself as a country bumpkin. Foreign folk are getting kidnapped. Yeah. I guess Yoichi's more mean nice than nice. Having Kuga and Yoichi as my colleagues meant a lot to me, though. Miyagi, too, of course. I was chasing after Hanzo's tracks partially because I wanted to quickly put the citizens of Edo at ease, but I also wanted us four to work together again. Huh? Isn't this? The row houses. Yeah. Isn't this the row house where the farm folk and her owner from the Kamakiri case live? The tracks really lead here. Yeah, they lead inside. Did they get dragged into another big mess? Man, they got the worst luck. Remember when you saved that girl with a prow or a prayer? They definitely do. Although I felt bad for Otone and Mitsu, I didn't deny it. Of all the cases the Onigobon had dealt with recently, the Kamakiri case had been one of the biggest, but the Hanzo case was just as big. I couldn't believe they were unlucky enough to be involved in both such a short span of time. I know, right? Otome. Oh my gosh. A character named Otome and an Otome. Oh my god. Soup. There's a chance Hanzo's inside right now. They might be in danger. You're right. Thinking about it gave me an even stronger sense of urgency. Yoichi reached for his short sword, and I followed suit by gripping my knife. A fight against Hanzo, the man we've been seeking, could start the second we opened the door. Ready? On the count of 3. 1.
Mitsu!
Otone, not Hanzo, dashed out of the row house. She seemed to be in a panic, although it was hard to say why. For some reason, she blinked when she saw us. Oh, why are you? Otone, is something wrong? Has a form folk carrying a sword stopped by your house? No, I haven't seen anyone like that. It's true. Doesn't look like anyone's here. Well, I made sure Otone was safe, Yoichi whispered as he peeked inside the row house. You said Mitsu just now, right? Did something happen to your form folk? She was probably kidnapped. Mitsu, she... Otone looked crestfallen at Yoichi's question. No. Well, yeah. Yeah, but I guess she was more for backup. It can't be. I couldn't help but notice her change in mood. What on earth happened to Otone and Mitsu? We step inside the house where the smell of dashi soup stock wafting the air whet our appetites.
Does it really smell like that?
Wait, let me... To whet your appetite means to stimulate your desire or interest in something, make you want more. But I just thought it was like wet, like W-E-T this whole time. Let me whet your appetite. Oh my god. My life is a lie. I guess I've heard of whetstones, but oh my god. It wasn't W-E-T because I was thinking, like, mouth-watering. But that wasn't the case all along. Oh my god. A fire was burning on the kitchen stove where a colorful assortment of scallions, parsley, and tuna were bubbling away inside a pot. I'm sorry, were you eating? No, tuna scallion hot pot is Mitsu's favorite. I was hoping she'd come back home if I made her favorite food. But she's not a cat or a dog. Tone smiled sadly, looking positively worn out. Okie dokie, thanks for joining in, Shroomy. She recovered after we solved the Kamakiri case, and I'd seen her out walking with Mitsu many times. At this rate, however, she'd be laid up in bed again. Just checking. She didn't run away from home, did she? I don't think so. It was life as usual, so she shouldn't have had any reason to leave. I'm sure you both heard about all the form folk who disappeared lately. I told Mitsu to be careful too. Yoichi and I instinctively shot each other a look as we listened to Otone speak in her wispy voice. When was the last time you saw her, Otone? Yesterday afternoon, before I left to do some shopping. There was a street hawker out front, so I left Mitsu behind to go outside for a little while. Did any of the neighbors see someone stop by while you were gone? Or see Mitsu leave on her own? A servant from a nearby shop was in the house when Mitsu disappeared.
Ew.
You don't mean... Apparently he was just drunk and entered the wrong house by mistake. He left immediately. Other than that, nothing unusual happened. At first I thought Mitsu just left to draw some water. Hanzo's tracks definitely led inside, but they cut off here. There's no doubt in my mind that he came here. But where did he come from? Where did he go? Something cotton. And why did he come here? If he went out of his way to get Mitsu, then there's something definitely wrong here. Or maybe the servant really had nothing to do with it. You okay? You're making quite the face. Oh, I am? Just focus on your role here. No need to act like a cop and rack your brain over this. It's okay. No thoughts. Head empty.
Okay. Is it really that easy to tell I'm thinking? That's embarrassing. Still, I relaxed a bit after Yoichi told me this. It might be gibberish to me, but the meaning behind Hanzo's actions could become clearer with a collective knowledge of the Oniwaban. I knew it! You're investigating the missing form folk, aren't you? Zip! Hi, Zip! Slow your roll! How you doing, Zip? Otone said, having figured it out based on our questions and conversations just now. Hi. Do you think the form folk carrying a sword you mentioned earlier might have taken Mitsu? Well, he had the ability to control form folk, so there's a chance he'd bewitched. Ah! Thank you for the follow, Zip! So there might be a chance he bewitched Mitsu. Be careful if she comes back all of a sudden. I don't think she'd cause you any harm, but you never know what will happen until we take the culprit down. Otone was painfully silent after Yoichi's warning. Of course she was. It would be fine after hearing their loved one had been kidnapped and might be under someone else's control as we speak. Please, catch this person and bring Mitsu back to me. Otone raised her head and looked directly at us with tears in her eyes. We caused you nothing but trouble, yet here I am making unreasonable demands. I'm terribly sorry. But, although it pains me to say it, I can't save Mitsu on my own. We're all counting on you. Please, I'm begging you. Okay. Not 'cause it's you, but just 'cause it's convenient for us. Totally. Otone lowered her head as if she was going to prostrate herself on the floor, but then she broke down in tears. Every time I see the word prostrate, I gotta focus really hard. Like, I gotta really think about it so I don't say prostate. It's my... I gotta really think about it, like, prostrate. Otone. The best I could do was stand close beside her. But in my heart, I swore to make her wish come true. I know it's hard, Otone, but make sure to eat and take care of yourself. I have 12 years before that exam? Oh, really? Itch. What? Like, Luigi, don't forget to check your prostate. It is important. It is important. I know it's hard, Otone, but make sure to eat and take care of yourself. Mitsu would be terribly worried if she came back and saw you looking gaunt. Thank you, Soup. And you too, Yoichi. Like, I saw, like, these pills in the cabinet. And they just, like, in very large, all caps. And, like, it's like an impact font. It just says, prostate! And, like, well... I guess I know what it's from, but like what it's for, obviously, but I didn't expect for it to be advertised like it's the name of the pill. Prostate. Me? The fuck did I do? Yes, you. I actually went to the magistrate's office to report Mitsu missing this morning. There were a lot of other people in the same situation. I managed to file the report, but not one person listened to my story or told me what was going on. I'm so blessed that you came. Oh. Okay. Blunt as ever. Still, I was glad. I wasn't sure what would happen for a moment there, but Otone seemed much more positive when we parted ways. Take care, you two. We will! And you, Otone. Did you know, Otone, that, like, within, like, the 24 hours of a person being kidnapped, that's when they're usually killed? Okay, bye, Otone! After we left Otone's house,
Yoichi and I relayed what happened after we followed Hanzo's tracks.
Wait.
The three of us put our noggins together and still couldn't figure out why Hanzo went into Otone's house. We followed these tracks as far as we could, so tomorrow we'll need to find another trail of Hanzo's tracks to follow. Alright, no one's around. As usual, I entered the house from the back door so nobody else could see me, then headed straight for where Kuga was. However, the lamps were lit, but I didn't see Kuga anywhere.
What?
I checked the restroom and the washroom immediately afterwards, but I didn't find him there either. There's no way he would have disobeyed orders and left the house. Maybe something happened while I was gone. Nervous, I ran around the huge mansion looking for him when... Of course he's... Oh. There he is. I hear the sharp, rhythmic sound of something slicing through air. The moment I picked up on that familiar sound, my racing heart instantly calmed down.
Calm down, bitch. Can a guy have hobbies?
I should have known. I followed the sound out into the garden, where I found the person I've been looking for. Oh, CG? Oh, yep, CG.
I'm so fucking bored! I've been nothing in the house all day!
The wind scattered the clouds covering the moon and illuminated Kuga. I'd been standing in the dark until then. The sight took my breath away, and it got like the romantic music and shit. All he was doing was practicing his sword strokes with a serious expression on his face. You gotta practice those strokes if you want to be effective. You gotta practice those strokes if you want to be effective at swordplay. He hadn't done it in a while, but much like his reports or his diary, I've seen him doing this many times before. And yet, I couldn't take my eyes off him. I almost didn't want the moment to end. I wanted to watch him do this forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. I'm not sure how long I stood there. Swing after precise swing, never missing, even by the slightest amount. Kuga let out a small sigh and lowered his sword. Then he sheathed it in one sweeping motion and...
What is it?
Huh? Kuga suddenly turned towards me and spoke, snapping me out of my daze. Did you know I was here this entire time, Kuga?
Yeah, I noticed the second you arrived. What?
I was instantly embarrassed. Embarrassed that he knew I'd been staring at him, and embarrassed that I'd been admiring him. I was admiring him, wasn't I? That might have been the first time I ever gaped at Kuga. No, anybody like that. I'm sorry, I meant to say something.
I don't mind. I did as well, but I just wanted to get to a good stopping point first. Why were you watching me in silence still? It's kind of creepy.
He asked the one thing I was really hoping he wouldn't ask. Because...
Yeah?
Because you were pretty! What does it want me? That's what it wants us to say! Because you were pretty.
You were pretty, Kuga, and he liked it. He just wanted to be called pretty.
Because you were very bonita. Do you feel bonita? I knew this would happen. I knew saying something like that would only confuse him, but I told him the truth instead of coming up with something on the spot. After a brief period of silence, Kuga asked just to make sure.
Pretty? Me? I'm pretty? Yep. In what way? Tell me everything. Ah!
My face was already burning up, but it got even hotter when he immediately fired back with that question.
Do I have to answer? You don't want to?
I mean, I really don't want to answer it. I really don't want to answer it. The thought of leaving Kuga filled with questions after saying something weird did make me feel guilty, though, to be honest. Besides, I'm sure Kuga would understand my thinking if I just explained it to him.
Alright then, no shyness. I gotta hold my head high.
You looked so pretty when practicing your swings.
Huh?
Kuga listened carefully with a very serious expression on his face. Since he didn't say anything back, he must have thought I still had more to say. I guess that means my explanation wasn't convincing enough. Okay then. Your hair and your hair and sweat were sparkling in the moonlight. You were sparkly, boy.
Your gaze was so sharp as you looked forward, and you had great posture. Okay, keep going. And when you swung your arms up, I caught a glimpse of your arms, and they were really like buff. Buff. Ah! I'm so completely and utterly embarrassed. I wanted to bury my head in my hands. I'm buff. I'm pretty and buff.
Kuga also rapidly approached me as I said all of this.
What's the matter, Kuga?
Back it up, Buster.
You were so quiet, I didn't hear you. Did I mishear what you said? Or did you say I was buff? I'm really glad you noticed I've been working really hard.
You didn't? I didn't have the courage to say it to his face the second time, though. A few anxious wrinkles appeared in Kuga's brows since I couldn't bring myself to respond to him.
I don't get it. Now he's been a far cry from anything one would call beautiful.
Dude, you're a man with a... Oh, well, never mind. Even though you have a fuck-ass haircut. And your little teethers are out all the time. That reminds me of my late dog.
My deal with it. You think I'm pretty?
Huh?
You said my hair and posture were pretty. Wasn't that a word you used to describe popular courtesans or shop girls? Should I sell my body for profit? Or kabuki actors? I wouldn't question if it had been Kinji's good looks, but it doesn't seem like an appropriate fit for me.
Kuga said all this so assertively, but I couldn't help but tilt my head in confusion. Is that right? You don't find anyone pretty except for people attractive enough to have portraits done?
I'm not so sure about that either. I simply memorize beauty as whatever things most people call beautiful.
Oh, right. Beauty was something you felt with your heart. That's why Kuga had never personally found anything pretty before. I can try to explain it to him all I want, but he still won't get it. There are many different types of beauty. There's many different types of beauty, Kuga. There's like a sexy one, there's like unconventional beauty, yeah, not to mention everyone has their own opinions about what they think is pretty. It's subjective. Some say blue skies are pretty, others call freshly cooked rice pretty. Some are even smitten with rocks they find on the ground. There's nothing weird about me calling you pretty. You really are. Oops, I didn't mean to hammer that point home. As embarrassed as I was, I wanted Kuga to know he was pretty. I want you to know you are bonita. Of course, Kinji and the women who were popular around town were also very pretty. But to me, they had nothing on Kuga. Oh my god, Soup, are you falling for him in his route? Gasp. I was in awe watching him practice earlier, not to mention. Found everyday Kuga to be quite beautiful too, not just his physical appearance, but his attitude towards life and his duties and how he sleeps. Although I never put into words like this before, it felt right in retrospect.
I see. I understand now. I am bonita. If people can find beauty in freshly cooked rice or stones on the side of the road, you might as well find me beautiful.
Exactly. I agree without even thinking about it. Does he think I put him on the same level as rice or rocks? Although we strayed a bit from what I've been trying to say, the fact he understood that much was enough of a win for today.
Oh, did I frighten you that badly not being in my room?
Yeah.
My apologies. Next time I'll make sure to leave a note. Oh, no worries. I passed through the garden when entering through the back, so it never occurred to me that you might be training. I'm sure we just missed each other. I'm really glad nothing happened to you after all. Right. Kuga seemed a bit tense just now when he agreed with me. It's been ages since I last talked to him like I have tonight, even though I was the one who impulsively asked him to chat with me for a little longer. When we sat down next to each other on the veranda and had a nice, relaxed conversation, I noticed something about him seemed a bit off. It would have been pointless before, but maybe I should ask him one more time if anything's been weighing on him. No, wait. Weighing on him isn't quite the phrase I'm looking for. Kuga's a vessel. He definitely would have came off worried if he were a human or folk, though. Upon further reflection, I realized my dad and Mimi were the only people I had ever interacted with this much. In other words, family. I'd also been able to check their emotional threads. Kuga isn't family, and I can't look at his threads to know what he feels for sure either. All things considered, I couldn't rule out the possibility that I was overthinking it. Excuse me. To be frank, I was really nervous that Kuga would get exasperated with me forcing my needless concern onto him. If Kuga didn't experience worry, what's up with the dramatic music? That meant he didn't experience that word is so hard. Exasperation either, so I probably didn't need to concern myself with that. Still, he might keep his distance from me as long as it didn't interfere with his duties if he thought I was a pain to deal with. That would be horrible, but still. Either way, I was worried about him at the moment. Absolutely couldn't just let it go. What? Just then I noticed something. Isn't that your wakizashi? Your short sword? Not your tachi? Kuga has taken his swords off when we sat down on the veranda. He placed both beside him so he could use them right away if something happened. But his hand hadn't strayed far from his wakizashi the entire time. He always uses the longer one when fighting, though. It seemed strange to me, but at the same time, I was also surprised this was the first time I ever really laid eyes upon Kuga's wakizashi. Boo-boo. She banging the samurai? Not yet. But she probably wants to, if she hasn't realized it yet. But they are living in the same place right now, because she's like his quote-unquote bodyguard. And she wants to be his servant, I guess. It's a fine blade. You think so?
More body, less guard. Yeah.
All swords feel special. Or I guess I should say that they seem to be imbued with the feelings of whoever made them or owned them. See, size don't matter. It's almost sublime. I never noticed until just now. You have quite the discerning eye. I don't mean your ability to see threads. Huh? This sword is the instrument I originated from. Oh, so that's the object.
That's him. If his sword breaks, he dies.
It's literally me. You're not wrong. It's imbued with an extraordinary amount of its creator's feelings and owner's love. Enough love to create me. I was so shocked it left me completely speechless. This sword is Kuga's. How everything clicked into place when he said this. For a vessel to be born, someone needed to cherish an object enough for it to become a form folk. Yeah, well, Kunitaka Tojo was a tobacco pouch. I must admit that this sword had met that requirement. I normally try not to use it too much. As you know, they are a weak point. Our objects are like your body's pressure points. But tonight, I felt the urge to practice with it. I figured touching the object I came from might help me get back to being my old self. Back to your old self? Right. I haven't felt myself since receiving orders to stay home, no matter what I was doing. I'm here, but it feels like I'm not. I've never felt this way in my entire life as a vessel. I'm a little dissociated. Kuga answered my question, but the way he spoke made it sound like he was talking to himself at the same time. Meanwhile, he traced the shape of his wakizashi several times as we were making sure it was still there. Kuga. I couldn't tell what he was thinking. As a matter of fact, I couldn't tell if vessels even experience worry or confusions in the same way people or form folk did. He's like starting to remember stuff. I think she would see like his threads. Kuga was handling his wakizashi very seriously. To me, he seemed to be desperately seeking an answer to the problem he was wrestling with at the moment. Kuga? Could you tell me more? How are you feeling right now? Do you need SSRIs? How? I just said I don't feel like myself. I'm here physically. But I also have this strange feeling that I'm not all here. Wonderful, keep going. I have no idea what else to talk about. Besides, why are we talking about this? Then I'll ask the questions if you don't mind. What do you mean by your old self? Going outside and performing my duties as an Oniwabon. I messed up in multiple senses of the word. And because of that, I placed a huge burden on you, Yoichi, Lord Miyagi, and the entire Oniwabon. Not to mention the citizens of Edo. If I hadn't erred, I'd still be able to walk around the town. It would have made encountering Hanzo a cinch. If only I prioritized taking Hanzo down during the last battle. He was dwelling on every single thing as he spoke. Although he sounded just as indifferent as he had when he told me he didn't mind disappearing alongside the Blightfall. Kuga spoke haltingly, lost for words at times, which I found touching in its rugged honesty. Actually, Kuga, I had the same thought. What? It's been weighing on my mind this whole time. Could I have stopped Hanzo from spreading rumors about you? Should I have gone around claiming you were innocent? What are you talking about? You couldn't have predicted what Hanzo was going to do at that point in time. Besides, Yoichi would have chided you for sticking up for me, since it would have meant you wouldn't be able to walk around town either. But how is that any different from what you just said, Kuga? What do you mean? I mean, thinking you should have done things you couldn't have? It's pointless to think about since we can't change the past. But it doesn't feel pointless to you right now, does it, Kuga? Look at you, fucking psycho, like a... Worry lines creases Kuga's brow. Never noticed until we had a long face-to-face chat like this, but Kuga was a bit more expressive than he used to be. Is he starting to gain back his soul before he was a vessel? Guess I've finally gone mad. I just warned you it was pointless to regret the past, too. But as you pointed out, I'm caught up in things that there's no point in talking about. It's distracted me. Must be why I've been feeling all over the place. Possibly, and... how do I put this? Right now, you're probably thinking you're a burden to everyone, and that you gotta do something, but there isn't anything you can do. So, now what? Or something like that, right? Which has you feeling down? Right. I knew it! I was probably bearing witness to a historic moment right now. Kuga was clearly worried, and confused, and stumped. Even though he was a vessel, even though his heart was sealed, he was worried, confused, and stumped when faced with a problem he couldn't do anything about. Now that we cleared that up, I think I know how I can help. I was no stranger to the frustration eating away at him right now. Or rather, the emotion was an obvious one to anyone with a heart. I went about this in a very roundabout way under the premise that Kuga was a vessel. First of all, I want you to know something. I don't think you're a burden at all. What I said earlier was just a figure of speech. It was? It felt like you were reading my mind when you said that. That's why you're in a funk right now. Think back to when I just arrived in Edo. You didn't treat me like a burden, did you? I was weak. I didn't know my way around. I was just a little girl from the countryside, a little country bumpkin. But aren't we talking about two completely different things? They're not so different. You probably thought I'd come in handy because of my powers, right? Indeed, something along those lines. Well, you're strong. Yoichi and Miyagi trust you, and you've always been very good to me as a junior member of your team. So everything's fine. Do you agree with me on that? Press him to achieve the very first step, clearing up his misunderstanding. Therapy soup. Kuga was silent as usual, pondering my statement. Understood. If you insist, and I accept it as your opinion on the matter. Great. Seemed to have broken through to him after all. Thank you. Now for the issue at hand. Like I mentioned earlier, you're in a funk right now. You're depressed, worried, you feel different from before, and can't focus on what's in front of you. Blee. Well, no, but... I'm a vessel. I have a physical body and a soul, but no heart. If I felt the way you describe, I would essentially be a human. My existence as being who slays Blightfall would be in peril. Kuga's tone was much sharper than before as he denied what I said. I'm sure Kuga had seen townsfolk feeling worried or depressed. In other words, he understood it conceptually, yet he failed to realize he was the same situation himself. Maybe being a vessel was never that ironclad in the first place. Pardon? It's not that vessels don't have hearts. Your hearts are simply sealed away, just like your memories of being an object. If a vessel's memory comes back to them, their heart could too. If there's nothing wrong with a seal, and if that happens, the vessel is disposed of. So obviously you must have a heart, and its presence is so powerful it's difficult to suppress. Kuga was silent, looking almost furious. I've never seen him make that face before. He looks more sad than furious. For someone like Kuga, who takes his role as a vessel very seriously, that must be hard to swallow. That was probably exactly the reason he'd been worrying himself sick, unable to pinpoint what caused these changes in him. After a long silence. You only ever seem to say things I can't see coming. You truly do. I love what you said was strangely convincing. Really? Really. Listening to you reminded me of a few things I found odd. As he said this, Kuga lifted the short sword he had on his hand this entire time. He pulled it out of its sheath. His mirror-like blade was sparkling and caught a faint moonbeam in the darkness. Oh. It was a beautiful sword. And a mysterious charm to it, as heart-stoppingly beautiful as it was, spine-chillingly terrifying. Ah. The signature Tadamin Asama was inscribed on the tang of this wakizashi. It seems to be the name of the craftsman who made it. I looked up Asama in an attempt to find out what kind of person he is. I thought it might be the name of the owner, in other words, my old owner. But if that were the case, the name would have been erased before the sword was given to me. What? I didn't expect to hear him say this. What do you mean you decided to look him up? You weren't curious about your past, were you? Of course not. I just wanted to know who forged it, because it's such a fine blade. Ain't I such a fine blade, Soup? In spite of my efforts, however, the name didn't seem well known. I learned nothing about him in the end. He sheathed the wakizashi once again. The sound it made had a lovely, clear quality to it. Excuse me. Kuga set it down next to him before turning and looking me directly in the eye. It must sound strange to you. Admiring the remarkable craftsmanship of this sword and finding out who forged it had nothing to do with exterminating Blightfall. My reasons for doing it was different from the diary I kept to better understand the townspeople's hearts. I did it for myself.
Once again, I was forward listening to Kuga speak. It must have been the one and only time Kuga had ever done something because he wanted to. Of all the many memories he would never forget, it had left that strong of an impression on him. After talking to him, I understand what he meant earlier. This is what they meant by vessels' hearts being sealed away. Since it was commonplace amongst vessels as well as Kuga, it was wrong of me to pity them for it, logically speaking. But even now that I understand this, Kuga's worrying and the one time he's done something for himself, wasn't it a little strange that he treated these things like sins? Like things he shouldn't have done?
Soup, I'd like to hear your opinion. What do you think I should do next? As an abject failure, should I ask Lord Miyagi to dispose of me?
I think you should work on getting back to your feet.
Oh. So you don't want me to kill myself? Okay.
I didn't mean to shout so loud. He almost wished for his own death just now. Getting rid of him was out of the question. I had to somehow convince Kuga that he was fine and ought to be more positive.
What do you mean?
Let me explain. When people feel down, they don't keep worrying forever and ever. They try to fix whatever's worrying them.
I see. By taking an incentive, I can alter my situation and rid myself of whatever is causing this. Makes sense.
Something along those lines, yes. You're probably worried all this time because you didn't realize you were worried in the first place. So please, think of yourself as being an even more amazing vessel than you were before. Once you know your own weaknesses, you can protect yourself and be careful about not exposing them to so much, just like your sword.
You always take it so seriously when I said I should disappear. Would it really be that painful for you if I did? Huh? Well, that does make sense. It's far more convenient having even one more person around who's capable of taking on Blightfall. You really think that's the only Of course you do, because you're special, but... Oh, hi,
Lumi! I appreciate it. I hope you're doing good.
But thanks for popping in.
That was a surprise. I don't know how long that message was there. I was kind of locked in. I'm sorry. I almost thought he was teasing me just now, which startled me pretty badly. But isn't it obvious? The painful part would be losing a dear friend. I wanted to spill this out for him, but I was still so panicky I couldn't calm down enough to speak.
I get it now. I can't seem to produce adequate results as part of the Oniwabon after all my mistakes. But I'm not such a failure as to warrant being disposed of. If anything, losing a vessel who can fight under the current circumstances will be a much bigger problem. I was wrong. So I shouldn't kill myself. For the good of the Oniwabon.
Right, I'm glad you understand.
I find that very strange. When you said I was worried, I thought the spell they cast on me might have broken. That alone would have been fairly serious. Yet you went as far to say the spell was obviously imperfect from the start.
Oh, Kuga, that's not quite... Maybe the seal isn't on your heart, but your ability to sense that you have one? It would just be really hard to tell because our thoughts all come from our own minds. For now, I think we should just focus on protecting ourselves from the Blightfall's mind contamination. Contamination.
I see. Assuming that were true, it would explain all the strange things that have been happening to me. We won't have the opportunity to know the truth. Since we work for Edo, as well for our Lord, nothing wrong with rationalizing it, however.
Now I really get what Yoichi said. Kuga both was and wasn't vessel-like. It was the perfect way to describe him. Which was why I found myself Spicy from us! Raid! Hi! Thank you for the raid! Hello, I'm Hibby. You can call me me. I like to play Ultimate.
Hello.
Hello! How are you doing? What were you doing? Yeah. What were, yeah. How is you?
What doing?
Oh. Oh.
How is you?
Which is why I found myself smirking in spite of myself.
Soup, I owe you my thanks. My pent-up feelings are gone now, thanks to your help. And I didn't even need to jerk it off.
How are you? I'm doing fine. I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. I might be getting some weather this weekend. Might be a little spicy, but other than that, doing pretty good. My weather brain is actually kind of like, ooh, I want to see weather.
But, how are you? My situation is no less inconvenient, but that doesn't mean all means of escape has been blocked off.
Oh yeah, sounds about right.
Thanks. Sorry to get right to it, but could you tell me what you learned while you were out investigating today?
Sure, there were actually a ton of developments today. The only thing is that we've already followed all of Hanzo's tracks, and so we lost his trail.
Really now? Well, I'd like to ask you about it in more detail. We should go inside. Maybe you should get in my bed.
Good idea! The wind's gotten chilly, so we should head inside before we...
Huh?
Right before I said that, a strong wind blew through. Right after I said that, a strong wind blew through. At that moment, I heard a bang. Like the back door had slammed open.
Huh?
We used the back door all the time, so I knew it was locked more securely than the front. It was also hidden. You couldn't tell that you could enter at a glance. I made sure to lock everything up when I used it earlier before heading towards the house.
I'll go check it out. If everything's fine, I'll call you. If I don't, go out the front and summon Lord Miyagi and Yoichi. Thank you for the lurk, Spicy.
Kuga could probably tell how I felt by the look on my face. Without waiting for me to say yes, he put his swords on his hip, immediately headed for the back. Afterwards, a short but stifling moment went by.
Come here, Soup. Huh?
Kuga, was everything all... Oh. My heart nearly stopped when I saw the back door open. I could see Hanzo's tracks there. And as I expected, Kuga seemed to grasp the situation by the look on his face.
Is Hanzo here?
Yes. I have no doubt that these are his tracks. I don't think he's inside. The tracks stop at the entrance. Where are they coming from? I had a bad feeling about this. I timidly put my head in through the back door and peered at the narrow path we used when walking around in the area. And when I did, I knew it. Kuga, I'm so sorry. It looks like he followed me home. However, the tracks don't go inside. Almost looks like he went back home after confirming where your house was. So, unless he's able to erase his tracks...
The back door!
Do you think he'll come back with some of his pals? We'd be in danger if he does. Should we move to the Oniwaban base? Oh, but he might attack us outside. I definitely need to get help. My hands grew colder and colder as I spoke. It took everything I had not to break down, knowing my mistake had put Kuga in danger.
Soup!
Kuga then grabbed my shoulder, making my heart squeeze in on itself even more. I'm so sorry. I should apologize.
Not at all. You did me a huge favor, Soup.
Come again?
Now I can make a move on Hanzo. If he comes here, I can engage in battle with him. If he doesn't, I can follow him to wherever he's staying using the tracks he left. I've broken free from just sitting around twiddling my thumbs.
He's got a point. When I thought about it that way, it definitely could be perceived as a good way out of the distress he was currently wrestling with. But it's nighttime. If Hanzo and his friends attack us now, you'll be in a ton of trouble. A danger. I don't know where I got trouble from, but it's basically a synonym.
Indeed. Go call Lord Miyagi and Yoichi as soon as you can. I'm curious where Hanzo's tracks lead. We can We can check after we survive the night. Maybe the vessel heart seal theory I came up with isn't necessarily wrong after all. For him to be this calm at a time like this, something absolutely had to be sealed off. Or that's what a human like me thought, at least. Did we finish this Nope, no. I was like, we're ending the chapter right there? No. He's not coming, is he? Aw.
Guess not. Yep. So, we came here for no reason. And he was probably... He has like a wife and kids, right? The Miyagi. He's like, I left my wife for this. We were having a fantastic night. She was going to let me hit it. And then I came here. And nothing happened. Gah. Contrary to our predictions, Miyagi and Yoichi came running, but Hanzo never attacked. Although I was personally relieved, the Castletown team managed to convene before anything happened. That's definitely a problem. What do we know now that the enemy knows where you live? It would have been just fine if he attacked today. The problem that they let him be.
Sir, do you think we should attack them instead? Hanzo's tracks haven't disappeared, so it should be a quick work figuring out where he is. Naturally, I would accompany you.
You? I don't know. That sounds a little too dangerous to me.
Come on, I'm so bored!
Hey, Soup. Which direction did you say Hanzo's tracks went after leaving the house?
I wouldn't consider it confirmed since I still hadn't followed them all the way. It seems like they were headed for Castletown.
See? Told ya his hideout is somewhere in Castletown. That's the absolute worst place for you to be walking around. Or are you gonna sneak around town in the middle of the night when everyone's fast asleep?
I know, is it a terrible time for me to be walking outside? I'd like to accompany you because my presence alone will make it less likely that Hanzo flees.
Less likely Hanzo flees? What, you think he'll run from battle?
I do. I'm his target. If I'm not there, Hanzo will use any means necessary to leave the front lines the second he realizes he's outmatched. The reason being that he won't be able to accomplish his ultimate goal of getting revenge on me. But if I am...
Ah, got it. You might stick around and try to fight.
Exactly. I doubt we'll have many opportunities to attack. We should gamble on this one chance we do have. In that case, having me sit out isn't even an option. Are there any good ways I could join you in battle?
Really twisting our arms, huh? I agree with you, but it still won't be easy. True. People act like you're being paraded around before your execution if they see you walking around outside. Yeah, definitely. With everyone on edge right now, someone like Genjuro, who they think is the scum of the earth, would be a perfect outlet.
I don't mind one bit if they attempt to throw rocks or spit on me. But we got plenty of other problems to consider.
Sheesh. Even if he managed to avoid inciting violence or any blightfall spawning along the way, Hanzo would still probably find out Genjuro was heading for him. Oh god, I'm sorry. That wouldn't be good. Maybe you should cover your face or something. Genjuro, let's
Oh, you're onto something.
What? What are you going to say, man? It looked like you were like, let's kiss him. No, I doubt that's what he's going to say. Let's kiss.
Did you come up with an idea, Soup?
Hold on. Don't you dare say he should wear a mask. His build would totally give him away.
I wasn't going to. If we want to settle this, our only option is to travel without letting anyone realize it's Kuga. And to do that, all we need to do is prepare one of those.
One of those?
God,
God damn, this is a long chapter. Litter? Was it called? This is what I meant when I said one of those last night. Little tight in here, ain't it? It's cramped in here. We're so close to each other. I wasn't just close, I was literally sitting on top of Kuga. Or I guess I should say my butt was on his lap as he sat cross-legged. Why, do you ask? Well, we're crammed into a tiny cramped litter. This is really, really heavy. All the way shifted over this side.
Ah! I do not feel anything. I'm not here. Doesn't. Do not get an erection. Do not get an erection. Do not get an erection. Calm, calm, calm. Trees. Breeze. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
My entire body weight was pressing up against Kuga's out. It's like his face is kind of funny to me. He's like,
trying not to sprout a stiffy right now.
oh, Otaro, we haven't seen him in a while. Oh yeah? Not from me. Right, Tomonari? Oh, and Tomonari.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Well, it's easy for you guys because all the weight's on my side. That was Kuga leaning up against me. Thankfully, he had his hand pressed against the wall, but he only narrowly avoided kissing me by accident. Again, would it be a kissing or just a bonk?
And this last one, it's like, oh my god, we accidentally kissed.
No, you accidentally smacked your faces together. It was not a kiss.
My apologies.
No worries. It took me a while to finally spit out the word no, but I was so nervous my voice was shaking. Sorry.
Kuritaka Dojo!
Yoichi said it was heavy, so I thought I'd do him a favor and shoulder a bit more on my end. I actually had a pretty good balance going until you moved all weird. Kuga was leaning his entire body up against me again.
It's been a pretty bumpy ride. Not much we can do since these litter bearers are total novices. Novices.
I stuttered again. Never in my wildest dreams did I think this would happen when I proposed the idea. You heard me. Yesterday, everyone reconvened at the Oniwabon base after waiting all night for Hanzo, only for him not to show up. And when I presented my idea... Carry Genjuro in a litter? Yeah, we get one with the bamboo screen, or one like a tiny room with roof and walls. As long as we keep Kuga hidden, it doesn't matter. When Tominari and I followed Hanzo's track this morning, they led to this alley where Hanzo last attacked Kuga and I. There are also several sets of tracks coming to and from the back entrances of a merchant's home nearby. So, in other words, that's the Blightfall stronghold. Yes. According to the neighbors, the people who live there had been away on a pilgrimage to Ice Shrine. They left a few form folk behind to mind the house. Those are optimal conditions for Hanzo to hide. We'll absolutely need both Kuga and a litter to raid the house. Please, guys, can you lend us a hand? With Yoichi serving as my guard, I bowed sincerely on behalf of Kuga, who was still at home. Miyagi approved of my idea and told the other teams why Kuga would be so crucial to this battle. I hope they're in favor of it too. A litter? It definitely would allow us to transport Genjuro without anybody knowing. What Mitsuhige said made sense too. I can't carry him though. Too many people know my face. I dare say as many as Genjuro, the man of the hour. True, a lot of people would probably notice if you were the one of the litter bearers, Kenji. As far as who else we could ask? We should have enough, right, Kyoshiro? Correct. At least enough to arrange for the litter. We'll have the full Oniwabon and get to work on the strategy.
I gotta do a lot of voices I didn't get to do in a while. Thank you so much. Do you really think this will work, Miyagi? It's so simple, it's making me nervous. Everything will work out fine. Besides, I trust Genjuro and Soup. I'm sure there won't be any problems. Yeah, it'll be fine, Miyagi. It's settled then. I'll arrange for a litter by this afternoon. Operation Defeat Hanzo will start immediately after. Kinji and I will take a different route to his hideout. Tominari, Kunitaka, and Otaro will be counting on you and Yoichi to serve as litter bearers. Carry Genjuro and Soup. Wait, me too? Obviously, well, we need to have a little, I guess, some sexual tension here. The townsfolk know you as Genjuro's servant. We can have you publicly leading the litter. You'll need to get in with Genjuro. Verify where Hanzo's tracks lead from inside. What? And that's how we got into this silly situation. This is all kinds of wrong. Why are they making me one of the bearers? I wasn't even there. Still going on about that, Yoichi? Now that we're doing it, I actually think it's pretty fun. See? Don't look so sour. Try acting more like a litter bearer. Hup, 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 hup. Did anyone else just hear a scream come from the inside? Oh. Otaro, don't horse around too much. What? I wasn't trying to. But fine, since you said so. Anyway, although I'm really not happy about this, how do we end up with such a nice palanquin? Something a little shabbier with a shroud over it would have been just fine. Then we wouldn't have needed 4 people to carry it. Well, a nicer one like this will make everyone leave us the fuck alone. Also, we're right about to head into Castletown. Hold out for just a little bit longer. Oh, he's right. Maybe we should try acting more like litter bearers since there will be more people around. I'm not joking, I'm being dead serious. Otaro's probably right. Okay then. Up, up, up. Up, 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 up. Aw, they're all trying so hard. It's been a lot less bumpy too. They have. They improved quickly. Awkward. I gotta pull myself together. The plan for me is to keep an eye on the trail and guide everyone else there. As for Hanzo's hideout, Tominari remembered where it was since he followed the trail with me. Tominari could have shown them the way if all we were doing were heading over there. However, Hanzo might take action while we're on our way over. There's no guarantee he isn't already on the move. I couldn't overlook a single change in the tracks leading to his hideout. Kuga. Sorry, but do you mind letting me look out of the window for a moment? Oh, sure thing. Peeking. He nodded and put his arms around my waist and held me tight like it was nothing to him. What? Contrary to our predictions, Miyagi and Yoichi came running, but Hanzo never attacked. When the ride was bumpier, I hit my head on the wall and nearly broke my neck every time I tried to peek out the window. Kuga felt bad and tried to hold me steady. I had to focus. Now wasn't the time to be thinking about how embarrassing, nerve-wracking, awkward, or bewildering this was. I leaned towards the tiny window, squinting as I tried to confirm which direction Hanzo's track led in. Okie dokie. Nothing unusual for now. Everything's fine, thank you. Yep. When I leaned away from the window and returned to my position on his lap, Kuga removed his arms from around my waist. Kuga, your sword is poking me. I'm actually closer to Kuga when I'm not looking out the window. Looking out the window was a lot to handle, but so was literally every other moment inside the litter. Huh? Things had been going so well, but then we came to a sudden halt. Thinking it odd, I looked out the window again. Apologies,
But there's a reason our master can't step out. Could you let this slide? You heard the man. You really think someone of high enough social standing to be transported in a Panadaquin this impressive would be a form folk? I'll find out once we check. Rules are rules. If you have nothing to hide, we'll greatly appreciate your cooperation in putting Edo's citizens at ease. Oh, god damn. Let me see. Because this is just... Wait. Control chapter 5. This is a long-ass chapter. I'm going to try to finish it, though. This is chapter 5. But the next chapter has no choices. Oh, man. This shucks. This isn't good, Kuga. We've been stopped by a constable. What? I thought Kiyoshiro went around talking to the security officials about waving us through. Maybe he didn't have enough time to talk to everyone? This guy looks pretty serious, too. Please don't. Our master will yell at us. He really will. If you do, all of us here will have hell to pay. You're cool with that? Alright. I'll just do a quick check of the inside. It won't ask who he is or where he's from. The door to the litter started to rattle as they talked. It seemed like all the... Daddy need a distraction! I'm gonna guess. Yeah. My prediction, and my vast knowledge of romantic cliches. Y'all gonna smooches. So he'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, and leave. That is my prediction. Is it true or not? I don't know. Seemed like all the litter bearers were trying to stop him from forcing his way inside to look. Not good. They won't be able to block him for much longer. We'll just look even more suspicious. You're right. What if I heard outside was to believe he was just gonna take a quick peek? He might miss Kuga entirely. We'll be in a world of hurt if he does catch a glimpse of him, though. The constable seems to be a citizen of Castletown himself. It was extremely likely that he knew Kuga. Our elaborate scheme might all be for nothing because of a tiny snag. We definitely can't have this. I gotta do something. I wasn't about to hesitate. After coming all this way, I only had one option. What is that option, Soup? Oh, I'll get out. Gotcha. That makes sense. Kuga, I'll get out. Kuga's expression changed when I said this. I already made up my mind. What are you saying? They've been saying he was a guy. It'll result in the least amount of damage here. Litters are only meant to carry one person. If I get out, he won't check inside. No romantic cliche. But he might know you. How could you possibly explain why a servant girl is riding in a palana? Do you mind waiting a bit longer? The door appears to be stuck. It won't open. What are you doing? It's fine. Let me try. I'm running out of time here. So I didn't come up with a plan to trick him if he knew who I was. There was no time left. His hand was on the door, ready to open from the outside at any second now. Soup, wait. Kuga pulled the arm I was reaching out. Kuga pulled the arm I was reaching for the door with, making me stumble. Wah. Just like he did earlier during our bumpy ride. I managed to place my hands against the wall, keeping myself from crashing into Kuga. He's so close. Which was no different from before, to be honest. Kuga's face had been above mine whenever I looked up, but now it was below me. What are you doing, Kuga? We're in danger. If he finds you suspicious and makes you get out of the litter, he will watch for Hanzo's tracks. But it would be even worse if you got out. Don't worry, let me go. Let go of me, please. I got hurt. Hey, don't be so rough. You break it, you buy it. Got quite the mouth on you. Anywho, I bet this'll do. The door is opening! Just having me step out of the litter wasn't an option anymore. What could I possibly do to make the situation go as smoothly as possible? There's still a chance. I was gonna get out of here because I couldn't think of anything else. Pardon, we have a few incidents, so we've been inspecting the inside of every litter. Oh, alright, that works. Oh. Hear the surprise on the officer's voice. Boobies?
Are these memories?
Oops.
I could hear the surprise in the officer's voice. Which made sense given there were 2 people crammed into a litter meant for one. What now? What is he gonna ask? How do I respond? Or am I completely blocking his view of Kuga's face? We didn't have any cloth or mask to cover his face with, and there was no room to hide him. I was left with no choice other than to shove Kuga's face into my chest.
Thank you for your cooperation. Well, I figured.
It wasn't a smoochie, but... What? And here I thought he was going to conduct a very intense investigation. The constable closed the door in a huge hurry without asking us a single question. 'Cause he thought he thought something spicy was going on. Well, that worked. So, are we in the clear? I believe so.
Hey, you should have just told me he was on a date.
What? A date?
Sorry, man. We were too embarrassed to say it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really say what they're doing in there out loud. What? For I knew they were running with the idea that we've been doing something unspeakable. I mean, whatever works, girly. What's Yoichi saying? Is he trying to cover for us? Yeah. Soup, mind letting go of me? Please?
Is his head still there? She's still holding his head to her chest.
Even though I didn't need to, I was still pressing Kuga's face into my chest. I'm so sorry, there was no other way to hide you. I know, you don't seem like the kind of human who enjoys that sort of thing. What? What do you... Yeah, I'm definitely not. Come to think of it, I actually was doing something unspeakable to Kuga. Now that I was thinking back on it, I felt incredibly embarrassed. Oh. As we talked, the stopped litter began pushing forward again. It seemed like he really was going to let us go after that. We managed, thanks to you. Oh, not at all. Thank you for stopping me too. Now that I had thought it through, it definitely would have been dangerous to get out. Right. Is it just me, or... I felt like it was getting more and more awkward inside the litter by the seconds? Of course, I was the only one who could feel it in the air. Anyway, you were surprisingly... What? Never mind. What? No, I was extremely curious about what Kuga's been trying to say. Whether out of fear or embarrassment, I didn't ask him about it at all in the end. Boobies.
That's everyone then. Did you run into any issues on the way over?
Boobies. Perhaps it's just me, but does it seem like something happened between the 2 of them? Nothing worth mentioning. Soup just put herself on the line to protect me, that's all. That's not worth mentioning.
For sure, Kenji. It was amazing. She immediately did something that shocked the constable into running away. Didn't know you had it in you, Soup.
I'll just let him say whatever he wants. Saying it wasn't true and having them tell them what I actually did would be too embarrassing.
Anyway, glad you made it here in one piece.
Soup, were you watching from the inside of the litter and didn't see... Soup, you were watching from inside the litter and didn't see any changes in Hanzo's trail, right? Yep, I didn't see any new tracks going in or out just now either, so he must still be inside.
Kiyoshiro and I did a brief search of the house while waiting for you to arrive. We did. There were too many people living in the house for a place that was being a house sat. For a place that was being house sat.
What does that mean?
They must be the kidnapped foreign folk. There were just as many people there as there were missing persons report filed by the magistrate. With so many people inside, fighting him without harming anyone would be a tall order.
But they were victims too. If possible, I like to avoid killing anyone besides Hanzo. I hate to trouble you all, but I'd like you to focus on suppressing the form folk while I bring Hanzo down.
Genjuro, Miss Oshige told me the reason you failed to take Hanzo down last time. Since I'll be present this time, I will not allow you to make the same mistake twice, no matter what you say. Understood?
No objections, sir.
Very well.
No.
Okay, cool. If it is a close fight, we'll immediately cut down any form folk running interference and join you in attacking Hanzo. Kiyoshiro then turned and faced everyone aside from Kuga and gave additional orders. It wasn't just Kinji who appeared to have been thinking the same thing Kiyoshiro had from the start. Everyone nodded in agreement without any hesitation whatsoever. I didn't detect a single trace of confusion or worry on their faces. But if push comes to shove, I'll need to jump into action with them too. It was my bare minimum duty as someone tasked with protecting Edo. Oh. A split second before I set foot inside of from the back door, I suddenly found myself glancing sideways at Kuga.
Boobies.
The look on his face seems a bit different from everyone else. Did Kuga feel bewildered and worried right now, just like me? Even if he did, he seemed like someone who'd never give in to his worries. There weren't really any guards at the mansion, allowing us to easily make our way inside. Maybe Hanzo rounded up all the form folk and is doing something right now. True. There were signs of people, like Yoichi mentioned. Audible voices came from the biggest room, but the rest of the rooms were all deathly quiet. Is it a trap? Who can say? Why don't we have a look-see? Tonight, my dearest wish will be realized. I'm so grateful to everyone who sacrificed themselves for me.
Hanzo! Hanzo! Hanzo!
Eep. Visible from the tiny crack in the sliding door were so many form folk there were hardly any space for them to sit, even though the room was so large. Sitting on a platform in the dead center of the room was Hanzo, making himself right at home like he was a lord. He was covered from head to toe in a huge number of black threads which were dripping onto the tatami mat.
Guess he's planning to invade Kuga's house tonight.
That must be why he didn't come yesterday. Now's the best chance to strike, yeah? Right, go Genjuro.
Yes, sir.
He agreed, then silently took off down the hallway instead of towards the room Hanzo was in. Wait, Kuga? What was he up to? Before I had the chance to see what everyone else thought about this. Kenji kicked down the door in front of us, bringing the room I'd only been able to see a sliver of before into full view. Huh? Who the hell are you?
Sorry to barge in while you're having a good time. Might we join you for a sec?
You're awfully polite today, Otaro. Although I don't intend to make do with just a sec.
What the?
Kenji grabbed the nearest form folk by the collar as he spoke. Took aim at the others, who were clearly flustered, and threw the form folk as hard as he could. The other form folk he crashed into all tumbled to the ground, writhing in pain.
Yummy.
Easy now, Kenji. The plan was to hurt a few form folk as possible. Were you listening? Of course I was. That's why I'm doing this. I see. I could tell because I'd also fought in a battle where I fought to keep form folk at bay. With punches and martial arts moves, you were less likely to slice into the form folk's original objects by mistake, making it safer than fighting with a sword. Besides, they were probably all keeping the objects they came from in a place where they couldn't easily be broken. I guess that means the battle's begun? God damn, once again, this is a long-ass chapter. For some reason, it hadn't really sunk in, or rather, it just all happened so fast. Luigi, my fellow Castletown team member, was also pleasantly surprised by this since he hadn't fought alongside the other teams much either. That works, Genji. Just throwing them should do the trick.
But won't they get right back up unless you knock them out? How long can you keep this up?
Wow. Otaro and Yoichi were also neutralizing Form Folk at an astonishing speed. They weren't even breaking a sweat.
You gonna throw them, Kunitaka?
I can see it's less work, but it's not my style. Tominari and Tojo, on the other hand, were fighting using their steel sheath swords. I was just like, yeah, just with like the sheath on, so they bonk. I was wrestling Form Folk to the ground so I could be of some use to everyone else.
This is totally different from when I was keeping the Form Folk at bay on my own.
As predicted, the number of Form Folk under Hanzo's control seemed to have increased exponentially since the last time we fought him. Despite their large numbers, this was mere child's play for the Oniwaban, who were highly skilled in both battle and slaying Blightfall. Kuga was right. Well, now he can fight Hanzo without having to worry about the Form Folk. I was also positive the battle would turn out largely the way Kuga predicted it would. If Hanzo actually had the strength to take Kuga head on and win, he wouldn't have gone through all the effort brainwashing Form Folk into being on his side. But why is Kuga nowhere to be found?
Don't get any closer, scumbag!
When I looked in the direction of Hanzo's voice, I saw Kiyoshiro with his sword at the ready and Hanzo squaring off against him. Hanzo was glaring angry with sword pointing at Kiyoshiro. But there's no way Hanzo's attack would have reached with the distance between them. He can't be.
Disgusting. You act like good people, but in the end all you do is helping a murderer? Have you no pride as a samurai? Die! Die! Trash like you should all die! Guys, get ready! Hanzo's about to attack!
I shouted just as Hanzo swung his sword. The second Hanzo Kamaitachi airblade landed, the Oniwaban reacted with surprising swiftness. Some had their swords at the ready like Kiyoshiro and cut through the air while others dodged by the skin of their teeth. But the Form Folk Hanzo had rounded up weren't able to. Injured by Hanzo's haphazardly launched blades, many of the Form Folk collapsed to the ground.
What is he trying to do? He brought these Form Folk here himself only to kill them?
He uses them as shields to deflect attacks, but views them as mere objects standing in his way the rest of the time. He's an easy fellow to understand, that one.
Hypocrites who talk as if you know everything. I view all who support me as dear friends, as people I owe my life to. But even if the most heartwarming friendship is fleeting in the face of pain and fear, I'll be getting rid of them right this second.
Even more menacingly, there was a spike in the number of black threads covering his body and also spilling into the ground. At the same time, the Form Folk who'd fallen to the ground groaned eerily as they got back up and surrounded us. He has the power to control all these Form Folk at once. Plus, he can easily use the same whirlwind attack he couldn't control earlier. Even though it was the middle of the day right now, he didn't seem to be any weaker for it. Hanzo had clearly grown as a Blightfall. Then more Blightfall holding torches appeared from somewhere else inside the house. Why do they have torches?
You're not planning to set fire to this building, are you?
Bingo! And not a moment too soon to burn this whole thing down too. My buddies might be reduced to ashes in the process, but they'll take you down with them.
What? You really make the people you owe your life to do that?
There's plenty more Form Folk who are willing to help me. Isn't anyone besides you guys willing to help out Gingomon Akahori here? Didn't think so. Oniwaban didn't respond to Hanzo's scornful remarks. He said they simply stood there as the Form Folk backed them into a corner. Something felt off about the entire situation. I would have been completely hopeless if I were here all by myself. I remember how strong they were and their impressive ability to respond to what was happening quickly, something I seen for myself just moments ago. Oh, don't tell me, are they? Are they going to snow sacrament? The moment the possibility crossed my mind, I looked over at Hanzo.
Get him, Genjuro.
A familiar shadow, jumped down from the ceiling, knocking his sword and Hanzo's grip to the floor in one blow.
Miss me, bitch.
Damn you. Oops. Kuga pinned Hanzo in the blink of an eye. He grabbed Hanzo's throat with his left hand and his wakizashi to the wooden tag at Hanzo's neck with his right.
Hanzo Ishii, I will hereby exterminate you. I don't know what object you came from, but if I cut your wooden tag, you won't be able to have a human form until the next time you're given a name.
The tone of Kuga's voice was so uncharacteristically cold. It took not just Hanzo's breath away, but mine too. Still, I knew it. Kuga disappeared. The Onigobon acted like they were at a disadvantage because they were planning a surprise attack. Well, I probably should have realized that when Kuga went off on his own, yeah. Although I trusted it, I'd been a bit worried something had happened to him. Guys, hurry up and help me! Hanzo was trying to make them come to his rescue. The form folk who surrounded us obediently tried to make for Kuga all at once, but Onigobon didn't let him. I pitched in what little I could to keep the form folk at bay, all while watching Hanzo and Kuga's conversation unfold.
Before I do, I'll say this again. I'm a completely different person from the Gingo Manakahori you seek revenge on. I know you said I resembled the description of the man who killed your family, but wouldn't it be a shame to revert to an object just because you mistook your foe? You're so consumed with your desire for revenge that you're no longer a normal form folk. However, they're still...
Tadamina-sama. Huh? Heard him loud and clear. Was it because Hanzo sounded as proud as a little kid flaunting an achievement for some reason? Because I heard that name once before. I could tell just by looking at your face that you stole this short sword from my father, didn't you?
No, that's his object. That's him.
Tadami Asuma was the name my father used as a craftsman. That sword is one of 2 heirlooms in the world he crafted himself. I would never mistake it. I finally caught you red-handed, Gingo Manakahori. I didn't mix you up with somebody else. Enough of this nonsense, admit to your sins. Oh no. The vitriol in Hanzo's shouting was almost tangible. There were more black threads than ever, and Kuga hadn't been a vessel. Just touching Hanzo in his current state would have been enough to contaminate his heart. I can't believe the sword Kuga originated from was made by Hanzo's dad. In other words, if what Hanzo said was true, that meant Kuga's owner and creator of the same Gingo Manakahori who Hanzo sought revenge on. Kuga's owner and creator was the same Gingo Manakahori that Hanzo sought revenge on.
You got it all wrong.
At that moment, Kuga was sent flying by something that shot out of Hanzo's body. Do you think I'd completely be defenseless without a sword? Hanzo quickly got back up and picked up the sword Kuga had knocked out of his hands. God. When he slashed at Kuga, who still hadn't gotten back up to his feet, using a huge sharp sword which air blades wrapped around it. Genjiro. Yeah. Kyoshiro snatched a dagger from one of the form folk and threw it, which plunged deep into Hanzo's back. When Hanzo flinched, Kuga took that opportunity to tumble off the platform. How cheeky of you! Catch Kengomon! At Hanzo's command, the form folk rushed at Kuga like they were now a singular being. Uh-oh. We managed to hold the form folk back until then because they'd been keeping their distance from Kuga. But some of them were already swarming on Kuga. He was also standing so close to Hanzo, meaning he'd be done for if he kept this up. So, we could use your help. Huh? Poof. Before I had the time to turn around, I heard a loud explosion. Huge explosion. My field of vision went completely white in no time at all. The mighty form folk stopped dead in their tracks as this happened. Tojo must have thrown a smoke bomb. Oh, got it. The form folk already had no will of their own. Since they weren't acting on their own like true friends of Hanzo, they couldn't do anything since he lost sight of Kuga, the person they'd been ordered to catch. Kuga won't be in the same place he was earlier. What about Hanzo? I see him. Hanzo must have realized that saying anything would give away his location because he was silent. Just like before, I could tell where he was heading despite him being silent. Why? Because I could see Hanzo's tracks in the form of threads. He's in front of the hanging scroll in a clove in the center of the platform, yeah. Hanzo understood what was going on the second I shouted and quickly took off in an attempt to change his location. It was far too late. Kuga had already apprehended Hanzo. Try as he might to escape, Kuga would be able to tell from the airflow or any noise he made. There's no way he'd lose Hanzo now. Kuga's fleet-footedness and sharp slash cut through the smoke, handing over everything. In my slightly less limited field of vision, I could see Hanzo where the black threads led. He was on his knees, clutching the wooden tag at his chest. His wooden tag had split into two. Kuga had a hard glint in his eye as he waited for the moment Hanzo's physical body began to fade away, still holding the sword he thrust. Damn it! Thought I'd be able to make it through in this body. What? Were my eyes playing tricks on me? Hanzo stood up straight. Or more precisely, floated in the air and his body was now see-through. He's a ghosty ghost? What might that be? A spirit? No, I never heard of form folk having spirits before. So I'm not the only one seeing this? That alone shocked me speechless. Wait, aren't you? Then I saw who Kuga helped up. It made even less sense. So if Hanzo, it's Mitsu? Kuga had definitely defeated Hanzo by cutting his wooden tag in two. And yet it was Mitsu who had gone missing in Kuga's... Oh no, he used Mitsu's body. And now she's dead. Limp with her eyes shut. Maybe you're the one who needs to worry about mixing people up, Gingo Manakahori. I have godly powers now. I already cast my form folk body aside. I'm gonna have you killing me before I realize my wish. Godly powers? What on earth are you talking about? Such a cop-out, you bitch. What, you don't believe me? Even after seeing this? I've been getting help not just from form folk, but also the gods who exact revenge on you. The only thing is that my new powers are so potent, it's hard to find a container to make proper use of them. But that's a very minor nitpick. As the smoke around us lessens, Hanzo's silhouette also grew fainter and hazier. Eventually, even the voice we heard so clearly started sounding further and further away. I will kill you, that's for certain. I'll do anything to accomplish that. And no one can stop me. We done with the chapter? Yes! My voice is so tired. I did it. Boy. Oh god. Oh my god. I mean, God, you okay with that? Token Jura because you were pretty. Okay, we're at chapter 5, and it'll be chapter 6, Shaman. And that would be the end of his route. Oh my god. I talked a lot tonight. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go lay down now. Thank y'all who came and watched. I really appreciate it. And I'll see y'all next time. I hope to stream again soon. I might have something on someone else's channel tomorrow. Maybe. I'm not too sure about that. But maybe. But yeah.
Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.